Hello everyone, welcome back to the next lecture in the computer network series, and today we will see the part 1 of the physical layer and media. Firstly, let's start with the outcomes of today's session. In today's session we have two outcomes. We will see what are they. Upon the completion of the session, the learner will be able to number 1. Understand the fundamental principles of physical layer, and outcome number 2. We will know about data and signals. We will see the fundamental principles of physical layer first. To understand the fundamental principles of physical layer, let's take this example. Two people are talking over their mobile phones. It's not the traditional telephone network that they use. They are talking to each other over WhatsApp call. So when we say WhatsApp call, whatever they speak, it's being communicated using computer network because it uses internet for this communication. According to this node, whatever this guy speaks is all the data that it receives. And this device or the node have to convert the data into signals, and that signals only will be transferred over the transmission medium. And the signals are transferred over the transmission medium. In this case, it is a wireless medium. And this end device or node receives the signals and it converts the signals into the data which the receiver can understand. So in this conversation, the data that is being generated by the sender is converted into signals. The sender and the receiver, they are interacting with the system through application. The application here they prefer is WhatsApp. So they open WhatsApp and they start making the WhatsApp call. So the user is directly interacting with the application, and that application receives the data, and that data have to be ultimately converted into signals. The intention of this lecture is understanding the physical layer. We will see the role of physical layer here. As I mentioned, he is the sender, he is the receiver. The sender who is interacting with the application, that is WhatsApp. This WhatsApp application is collecting all the data that is generated by the sender. So whatever he speaks, that is being collected by the application called WhatsApp. This application gives the data to the presentation layer. The presentation layer, data is translated, compressed and encrypted. WhatsApp does end-to-end encryption. It means whatever he speaks, only he can understand, and nobody in the world except the sender and receiver can understand what the data is being communicated between the sender and the receiver. And then it goes to the session layer. So far whatever it is generated by the application, we will call it as the application data. And ultimately this data have to be converted into signals, and these signals only can be transmitted over a transmission medium. So we will see how this works. The application data that is generated by the application layer is then given to the transport layer. In the transport layer, if it is a big data, it is broken into smaller pieces where each of these pieces are appended with the transport layer header, maybe a TCP header or a UDP header. Since they are talking over WhatsApp call, it is a real-time communication. So UDP header is added to every individual chunk. After adding the transport header, the PDU we will call it as the segment. These segments are given to the network layer, and in the network layer, the segment is added with the network layer header. After adding the network layer header, they are called as packets. So the network layer PDU are called as packets, and this is given to the data link layer. In the data link layer, header and trailer are added. After adding the header and the trailer, they are called as frames, and the frames are then given to the physical layer. In the physical layer, it is treated as zeros and ones, that is bits, and these bits have to be converted into signals in order to facilitate the transmission over the transmission medium. So these signals only are going to be sent over the transmission medium, and the receiver receives this, and finally the application layer receives the data and presents the data to the receiver or the user. Between this user and this user, the data are being exchanged. These data are converted into signals, and these signals are again converted into data in the receiver side. What we understand from this is that user generates data, application receives data, and that data have to be converted into signals. Who does this? Which layer of the TCP IP model or the voice reference model that does the conversion of data into signals? It's the physical layer that does the conversion. We hereby confirm that the data will be converted into signals. We will focus on data and signals now. Data and signals are very important in a communication. So the source or the destination, that will be mainly focusing on the data, and these data have to be converted into signals by the physical layer. Let's have a look at the fundamental principles of the physical layer. In the fundamental principles of physical layer, we have 4 important points to be dealt. Point number 1. One of the major functions of the physical layer is to move data in the form of electromagnetic signals across a transmission medium. So if there is a sender and a receiver, we have a transmission medium, and the data whatever is generated by the application or the user, it has to be converted into electromagnetic signals, and these electromagnetic signals only are going to be placed on the transmission medium. To the user only it is data, but to the system, to the transmission medium, it should be signals. So the data usable to a person or an application are not in the form that can be transmitted over a network. Yes, because the data that is usable to a person or an application is not the data that can be sent just like that over a transmission medium. For example, an image to the application or a user only it is an image, but to the transmission medium it should be signals. So an image must first be changed to a form that transmission media can accept, and only then we can send the data over a transmission medium. And to be transmitted, the data must be transformed to electromagnetic signals. I hope now you understood the fundamental principles of physical layer and you know about the data and signals to the basic level. I hope the session is informative, and thank you guys for watching.